Well, I think it gives us a lot of confidence. I mean, we didn't go into the game wanting to spot them 16, but to be able to go on a 29-7 run in the biggest of stages against an elite football team, that was a great team. I mean, really, really good. By far the best Ohio State team we've played, and to get down 16-0 and to see a team that hasn't been down, we had a tight game in North Carolina where we had to, make a play to go up in the fourth quarter, which was the first time I had seen Trevor Lawrence even have to play with the game on the line in the fourth quarter. And at the time I said, man, it's kind of cool. It's kind of neat to see Trevor in that situation have to go make a play. We weren't playing great, and then our defense had to kind of win the game at the end. But so fast forward, you're in a playoff game and you're down 16-0, and the walls can cave in on you. It's a road game, but to see the grit and the heart and the fight and the belief, the will to win, the no-quit attitude and spirit of our team, it was special. And I think certainly gives them great confidence going into a game like this, because in games like this, there's going to be adversity. There just is, and there's going to be some success, and I think you got to be able to handle both of those because it's a 4-quarter game. They don't call the game after the first quarter. You got to play. You got to play all the way through, and our guys have that mindset. I don't think so. I mean, I think that there's some great teams out on the West Coast. I thought Oregon was a great team this year, and they're a play or two away. You got to believe Southern Cal at some point is going to get back to being special again, but Utah had a great year. So I think there's teams that definitely will eventually be here. Washington's already been in the playoff, but certainly football is important in the South. I mean, there's no question about it. It's a very culture-driven sport, and it's very important in the Southeast. Not that it's not important. I mean, we just signed, we think, best quarterback in the country out of California. So football is important all over, but there's certainly great recruiting areas in the Southeast. Yeah, well, I think we've earned it. That didn't just happen. We didn't just show up and say, hey, we're Clemson, come to Clemson, and kids want to come. That's been earned through years of consistency. 9, 10-plus win seasons, national championships, conference championships, those type of things, big wins, big moments over the last decade. When you think about it now, like DJ, for example, and we weren't even recruiting him. His coach reached out to us, said, hey, I got a pretty good quarterback, because it's not like we're just going to go out there and say we're Clemson. We usually have to have some type of interest reciprocated. But I think when you think about it, like, here's a guy that since he was 7 years old, he's been, seeing this version of Clemson, whether it be through the media, TV, what big games. And so I think that resonates. And so what happens with that, as our brand has grown through our consistency, kids want to come see Clemson. It's become a place. And what I knew when I took the job was that if we could get guys on campus, people are going to see what a special place this is. And that's what's happened. So, and that's how we started the program. And but now, 11 years later, we signed kids from 14 states this year. And last year it was like 14 or 15 or something. And when we've gotten one, we've signed back-to-back players out of California for the first time in the history of the school. We've signed Travis was my first guy from Louisiana. Then we came back right here in Baton Rouge and got Brighton Constantine, linebacker. So, but I just think the consistency, the culture of who we are, and how transparent we are in the recruiting process of, hey, this is what the expectations are, and you don't need to come here if you're not all in with that. All right, because we're going to go to class, we're going to be great citizens, we're going to hold you accountable, those type of things. And so it's pretty cool for me to see a bunch of really, really talented young people that really want that, and they're coming long ways to come be a part of it. Isaiah Simmons came from Olathe, Kansas. He was my first guy out of Kansas. Christian Wilkins came from Connecticut. So we have to be smart. The big thing for us is the right fit, not the so-called highest rated player, but the best player in our eyes and the best fit for our program. And we always start inside out. We're always South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Maryland. That's our base. And then we try to scout out the best guys that fit our program from all over the country. Oh, yeah, no doubt. They're great up front, just like we are. Obviously got a great quarterback, just like we do. Got great skilled receivers like we do, and they got a great running back like we do. So it's kind of like what we just played. There's really no weaknesses. They're well coordinated. Great scheme. They're 5 out most of the time. A lot of empty. They do a great job of creating matchups. Especially when they get in their bunch sets and create leverage and easy throws. The quarterback's, I think he's 80%. Are you kidding me? Their scheme helps, but he's very smart and he's very accurate and he has a great understanding and he keeps them in the right play. They really empower him to run the offense and he'll get them in and out of a bad play and into the best, case scenario a lot. And they've just got all the pieces. To me, 1, 2, and 6 are special. And 19, they got a bunch of wideouts, but 22 and 81, they're tied in. That's kind of his security blankets. And those guys are problems. They're real matchup problems. 81 is a really good football player. He's physical. They're not a lot of max protection. But when they get in those bunch sets and things, it's almost like being in max protection because they slam their way out. So they get out, but they've created time and they've shortened the edges, And so you got to be creative in how you get to him. And then when you do get to him, he creates. And he's just got a great knack for escaping and avoiding the rush. And then he makes huge plays on the move. Some of their biggest plays come from him just scrambling and extending, kind of like us, kind of like our guy. They're really similar when it comes to all that stuff. These are two elite quarterbacks getting ready to duel it out, and really all the same across the board. You change jerseys and helmets, they kind of all look the same. Just really, really talented, beautiful football players that are getting ready to compete against each other with a really small margin of victory. So, Joe Burrow, I don't know if there's anything I can say that hadn't already been said. He's special. He really is. It's just kind of, as I said, just as a coach, makes you sick watching the tape because he just rarely ever makes a mistake. He's always a step ahead. He knows exactly where to go with the ball. You got him sacked, and then you don't. He creates. He's just like this all the time. Even when you watch him, one of the things I watch is he makes a big play in a huge game in a critical moment, and he just jogs down the field. So he's pretty special. To me, those are things that I look. If I was an NFL evaluator and I want to see how this guy, who he is. He's just like this all the time. And at that position, I think that's a special quality. Yeah, absolutely. No question. I admire any successful coach. I always, I like to study people who are successful. And he's been incredibly successful. And I've followed him and known him a long time, and I've always pulled for him. He's an easy guy to pull for because he's a wear-it-on-your-sleeve guy. He's passionate. It's easy to recognize passion and enthusiasm, and he's got that oozing out of his veins. And I have great respect for that. I think that he truly loves the players. I think he loves what he does, and that resonates, I think, with his team and with certainly his fan base and things like that. But I think he's a great football coach. He's done a wonderful job, and it's cool to see because I know he's had I know it didn't go well at Ole Miss, but I think he's a good example to a lot of people because we all fail. We all fail to the world's terms, but I think it's a choice on whether you fail forward, whether you're destroyed or defined by your failure or you're developed by it. And I think it's really cool to see somebody that people kind of label as can't do something or failed at something, and yet he learned and grew and developed and stayed the course and got back up and went back to work, and now to see him at this point, I think that's just what a great lesson, what a great living example he is for a lot of people, but certainly for his young players that he mentors every single day, because he's a living, breathing example of, hey, listen, it's not always perfect. It's not always going to be the way you planned it, but how you going to respond? And when you make mistakes, when you do stupid stuff, does it define you, does it destroy you, or does it develop you? And I think that he's a great example of that. And, he did a wonderful job out there at Southern Cal, and probably still be there if they had, kept him. But, they for whatever reason, he went in a different direction. And then, but, I just think God orders our steps and brought him to LSU. And, I mean, I don't think you could have a better fit for LSU than Coach O. I mean, it just he truly loves where he is, and he loves this program, and he's passionate about it, and he's put a good staff together, and you can just tell that he cares about LSU and the people of Louisiana, and I think that's awesome, and he's a great story to follow for sure. I mean, I think we have a great program. Clemson's a wonderful place to live, and I hope I'm a decent guy to work for. It's a family atmosphere. It's a place where truly our families are a part of it and welcome, and kids around all the time, wives around all the time, and it's a small town. I mean, everything's 5 minutes. I mean, everything. I mean, you can run home and work out at lunch if you want. I mean, it's just it's a great, when this is your profession, as a coach, you especially coaches that have been other places, you understand how special it is to live there. Monday through Friday we kind of have a Clemson bubble, kind of our own little world, but yet we get to have this unbelievable stage to compete at the highest level and do something that we all love to do. Our fans are amazing. Every game is sold out and packed. It doesn't matter who we play. You'd never know. And that's not the norm across college football. I mean, it's just amazing to have that type of venue and environment. So, as we've built it wasn't that way, used to, when I was at Clemson, it was kind of a stepping stone job when I came in as an assistant. Like, guys would be gone, and that was one of the things I wanted to change. I wanted to make it a destination job, and that's what it's become. Oh, no question. I think we're the only one that took a plane here. So, yeah, this is definitely a road game. This is what it is. The last one was a road game. You go out it's a long way out there to Arizona, and that was a great football team, and we might as well played it we could have just played it in Columbus, and it made it a lot easier on everybody because it was probably about 80-20, and our fans are amazing. But, I mean, Ohio State, where they got about 60,000 students, got a lot of graduates, a lot of alumni all over the place, and we do too. But we're just we're smaller school, and so it's pretty cool, But yeah, this is definitely a road game. It just worked out that way, and I mean, it's just you don't know these things in advance, but I think that's really cool for LSU. I mean, how cool is that for them to be able to just hop on a bus and ride up the road 40 minutes or so, and it'd be like us playing for the national championship in Greenville. Literally. Yeah, you just do the best you can. I mean, it's just kind of, you get to this stage, that's what last year we played Alabama, and I think Tua's completion percentage, or his yards per completion was higher, his yards per attempt was higher. I mean, it was kind of. I mean, he was a freak, and Tua's one of the best players I've ever seen. And that's when you get to this stage. That's just what you're going to see. When you get to the Super Bowl, you're going to see two elite quarterbacks. So it's hard. It's not easy. So you just, you've got to tighten up in everything that you do, and you have to understand that every play matters. You can look at our game a couple weeks ago. We missed maybe 3 plays. Maybe 3 that we made, maybe 3 that they didn't make, whatever. It's usually what these games come down to, especially when you got 2 great competitors, 2 elite quarterbacks leading the show like we got and what they got in Joe Burrow.